absolutely massive, but now geared up for Champion Select. As the days move forward, I feel like so far the bar has been set from like pretty much the same to kind of insane for Champion Select, and we're going to have to see where Low Priority and Fnatic fall there, because the bans are already coming out. Rise, Graves taken away on the side of Fnatic, Low Priority taking away the Lissandra and the Alistar. And the
Alistar's the interesting one. We're on 610. Alistar got hit by a reduction, or a decrease in his damage reduction when it comes to his ultimate at lower levels. We weren't expecting to see a lot of Alistar as it is. Just in general, the way the support meta has shifted, but the reason that they're putting focus now on the support and it's slowed down Fnatic Academy's bans is because of the way we saw Cly specifically pinpointed when Fnatic had him on their main roster lineup, and there's some real weird bans to round this out.
And of course, Jack's not really a surprise anytime you see Whirlip, that's a guarantee, but the Annie also being banned out as well. Now, one of those mages that has been reworked for Tibbers, a lot scarier now overall, but don't know if that would have been a support pick or a mid lane pick. Haven't really seen it too much either way.
So Zlatan used to play a lot of Annie when Annie was meta. So I don't think it's worthwhile banning it right now. Haven't seen too much of a change, but Tibbers is kind of terrifying.
Yeah,
when he runs away.
Super terrifying.
I like the Jax ban because it kind of puts the pressure now onto Whirlip to decide what he wants for the game.
And it looks like he has absolutely no hesitation when he decides. And of course, as the Trundle does get locked in, we have to remember this could go either way, but Whirlip with the Trundle, how do you think that compares to his Jax?
We've seen a lot out of Whirlip's Trundle. Just generally through the spring split, through the playoffs, was fairly strong. Saying that, Cly could also play the Trundle, was fairly successful with it on Fnatic, so we'll see exactly how that can go.
Yeah, opposite side though, it looks like this pick ban phase is pretty quick. Both teams knowing exactly what they want to pick up here, because on the opposite side we have the Braum and the Lucian selected out here almost instantly. That's a powerhouse bot lane. Low Priority putting the priority in the bottom lane.
Yeah, the wordplay. I see what you did there.
It wasn't like, crap.
I said priority earlier, and I'm like, I can't say that for the rest of this game. That's we're gonna have to get over that.
I need to expand my vocabulary clearly because I use priority a lot, and it's like, well, this is going to be either a meme or I need to adjust on the fly.
I think the interesting thing in this situation is how Low Priority have said, well, you know, we don't really rate Exorc too much, and Cly has had his trouble. So let's put a lot of power down in our bottom lane. Let's take a bottom lane that wants to win this lane. Lucian, Braum, fairly difficult to deal with. We'll see what Fnatic Academy answer with, whether they go for the sit-back approach and go like an Ezreal, or whether they try and fight it with a Caitlyn. A lot of options still available. But we actually hadn't mentioned the jungle matchup either.
Which is really important, I feel like, between Memento, who a team who hasn't really had to have that much of an impact as Lander Stonehong, and Impaler, a very experienced jungler, but he is going to be picking up that Kindred most likely for himself. Did hover the Rengar. I saw it. We all saw it. I got excited about it. But it is going to be that Kindred lock-in in the end, and Kindred hits saw some nerfs, but it looks like the quick response here is going to be the Gragas.
Whoa, Gragas when Nidalee was available. Now, of course, Nidalee is a dominant jungler, but also benefits very well from having your lanes winning. Opting away from a jungle carry to a jungle utility and tank kind of role here with the Gragas. Kind of surprising, but we have seen a little bit of jungle priority mixing up and down. But the Victor, blind picked into mid lane. 6 months ago, you would not really bat an eyelid at that. Victor certainly fell down the priority list, though, as we came through 2016. Has been reworked. The way his damage is applied is now changed significantly on his ultimate and on his E, so there are different changes here. But we have seen Low Priority be very potent with this Victor from
This is something that they prioritize in the finals nearly every game, and Sebix you know, struggled with it a little bit here and there, but we've seen the new Victor changes. Obviously, Death Ray is way harder to hit, but the new ultimate is ridiculous in terms of damage. I have played a couple of games since 6.10 released, and I was like, oh yeah, we're going to go in, we'll try some new things, and I tried new things against Victor, and that was a mistake, because this man just does too much damage. You cannot mess around when he is in the mid lane.
The thing is, I feel like Sauce Perfect pretty much has the game plan in mind, though, is you just pick the Azir now, and Azir's damage is going to be a little bit more consistent. Yes, Victor is always going to be able to scale fairly well. He is going to have some sense of the wave clear he used to have, but that ultimate now is slower to deal damage, and an Azir is going to be able to run and, you know, slide and glide his way out of everything pretty effectively. Second time of the day, though, we are seeing a Gnar locked in up into that top lane.
Final pickup. Makes sense that they put priority onto that last pick. Grabbing this one to battle out with the Trundle. Not a matchup we see a whole ton of, but additionally, we finally have our bot lane matchup, and it looks like Fnatic maybe putting themselves on the back foot already with this Ezreal Thresh versus Braum Lucian.
Well, 3 games, 3 very different dynamics we've had. Last game was team fight all the way. This game is is low priority looking for some sense of team fighting when you've got the Gragas, you've got the Na, you've got Victor as well, Lucian and Braum. On the other side, for Fnatic Academy, they're going to change. That teleport should change, so they're not going to play on three lanes, I would assume.
We'll have to see once we finally get in the game, but
yeah.
I want to hover in once again on the mid lane. I think it's where a lot of our attention is going to be over the course of this tournament, because once again, it's where we've seen the most changes. But Victor Azir, I mean, feels like a throwback to me. 6 months ago, you said wouldn't bat an eye at the Victor pick, and we wouldn't be surprised whatsoever to see a matchup against Azir. I feel like this is the lane we saw in at least 60% of the games.
Yeah.
And do you feel like it really changes now? You said that Azir just trades out. How does the dynamic shift as we load up here?
Well, honestly, now that we've got double TP in mid lane, I'm quite surprised. I would have anticipated Azir maybe just going the exhaust route and just saying to, being able to trade against the Victor very effectively when they are one-on-one against each other. Honestly, it depends on when Azir kind of dodges around in the lane. I would imagine just because of how much damage got shifted onto the tick of Victor's ultimate. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see how they move forward, both in terms of individual laning prowess and in terms of team fights, because we can be reasonably sure that because both these teams have such strong individual players that it's not going to come down to lane dominance. But that said, it's been a while since we've seen them play. Maybe Fnatic are a little bit more comfortable, maybe low priority, a little bit more comfortable being aggressive, especially since they've pretty much picked to win the laning phase here in the bottom lane. And as we gear up into the game, our third game of the day, our final game of Group A for the day, and we have to wonder exactly how these events are going to unfold. It's Fnatic Academy on the blue side, facing down the #1 seed from the EU West Open Qualifiers, low priority. And once again, no one making moves to the lane swap quite yet, but what?
Wow. Sebex is just winning this trade. Shield plus the Empowered Auto into Thunderlords.
I just really love the way that unfolded in terms of like run forward, hit him, like
just get him.
You know, and it's like already aggressive. Clearly, that's just for vision, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to run at each other like that in lane phase, but I feel like it sets the appropriate pace for this game.
It doesn't really affect too much either. At this point, we were way before 1 minute, way before any kind of real potential. I mean, had you been looking to invade, you could have maybe found an extra path into the jungle from that, but it doesn't really matter. All the wards have gone down right now, and we're looking... we've seen the duo bot lane on the camp starts a couple of times now to give the level 2 over to the AD carry. I wonder whether we're going to see the same again. Fnatic Academy could be looking for it. Looks like they're positioned, but low priority are not. They would never make it there.
Maybe both trying to bait the other one into making that start. You can see Lucian and Braum starting to move forward.
Oh, they're not spotted, so they're going to try and stop them on the camp. They will obviously grant vision, though.
Moving forward, they are going to have to back out. They could look at the little one, though. So the interrupt, not too effective, and still decent experience over to the Ezreal. Does take a little winner's bite to the face, but not too afraid of the cold at this stage of the game. And looks like Fnatic do have a small advantage here, but can't imagine it'll transition to too much at this stage as both junglers pick up to their level 2s, move to their second camp, and seems like we're once again on the path for a relatively calm start here in standard lanes.
And you can see Hikyu at this point pushing through the bottom lane, trying to get the advantage, trying to even up some of that CS. It's still going to be the second wave that Exorc gets the level 2 from. It won't be the first wave if you got as if you got the full camp at least. So still some time to wait, and Hikyu's going to try and just power this wave down and try and even up the timings a little bit.
Yep, level 2 coming out for low priority first in the end, although Cly will slowly make that one back. And Warlib, suffering as a Maokai would, has similar sustained properties in his kit, but you know, it's no surprise early game. Gnar, such a bully with those boomerangs.
I got very confused there. He said Maokai. I'm like, that's a Trundle.
No. He's saying like a Maokai.
No, I understand.
He will hide under the tower and survive.
He's not much like a tree. Although, again, I guess if you put like a lot of leaves on the end of his club and like held it, it would be like definitely not Trundle.
He can take it back to nature. Don't.
Okay. We back to Trundle running free. Free range
Trundle. It's never what you want to see. Although free range Gnar has appeared to be equally as terrifying, and Sebex and So's Perfect just trading blows once again in the mid lane. Maybe the first little exchange there was a good indicator, because clearly these guys want to carve out a bigger advantage in the mid lane. And Impaler, aggressive jungler, this is what we expect from him. The man knows how to play the early game. No doubts there. And suddenly the bot lane is on the way. Oh, the flash forward. Not going to get the body slam. Impaler not even burning any mobility spells, just stone cold checking that one.
Just walks away. You raise an interesting point that is something we kind of discussed a little bit. With regards to Impaler in the early game, I've always known Impaler to be a very good player for the early game. Like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, he always knows how to dominate, always knows how to get a lead. But one of the difficulties he's found in recent times is actually how to then close a game from there. And it is a common problem that we see in Challenger Series alone, but it's kind of surprising that it's persisted, and I wonder whether the additional help of the coaching staff from Fnatic with Daylor and the rest of their team is actually going to help with that kind of issue of who's going to be shot calling, because in previous teams that Willip has been on up in the top lane, he's done a lot of controlling around the map. So I wonder now how that dynamic is going to change, whether Impaler will be, you know, dancing to the beat of Willip's drum.
Well, we're not going to find out quite yet, because Impaler's dancing to his own beat as he pushes forward. 2 stacks on Mounting Dread. That's the third. The stack picked up as well. Not going to pick up the stack in the end, actually, but Impaler grabbing first blood. It's a great start for Fnatic.
Really good start. I mean, Impaler, as we said, he knows how to play this early game, gets himself up to top lane, gets the kill, starts that ball rolling. And he's going to wait around here. This is just to see if there's a greedy TP coming out from Kects into the lane, because then they can catch him out fairly quickly again. You'd be able to burn the flash, but Kects, I don't know whether he's just wise to it or wants to save the TP for the potential of having some kind of skirmish early on, but he's not going to TP back to the lane.
And look, despite all this aggressive pressure that the Gnar was able to put down, Willip still has a massive CS lead. We're only 5 minutes in and he's 10 creeps up, and that's really not where you want to be. I don't want to talk about free range Trundle anymore, but I mean, we're on the path. We're well on the path. And speaking of things that I don't want to talk about anymore, Cloud Drake once again going to be the starting dragon out here in our third game.
Yeah, it's... did I bring the weather back from the UK with me or something?
Yeah, it's a little overcast here in these games.
Yeah, it's a bad joke. I'm going to just go back to talking
I'll
about the game.
I'll follow you into the dark, sir.
Please don't follow me on bad jokes. Like, it's better if at least you're like, yeah, that's bad. Then you'll get people on your side. Otherwise, I'll be like, ugh, he laughs at his terrible jokes.
No, you don't understand, man. If you duo queue with someone, you gotta back them up, right? Doesn't matter if they're wrong. You just gotta follow. You follow them into the meat grinder in those team fights.
How about you follow me, and well, that's great. When you're in trouble, I'll help you out, buddy.
I don't know if I trust you anymore. Impaler, though, gonna clear out a little bit of vision. Exarch and Cly starting to balance out the pressure on the bottom side of the map, and once again, calm early game. This is something we've consistently seen. Without the lane swaps, the game's pace really not accelerated. And Sebix, and so perfect, just pushing out each other in the mid lane. Is Memento finally going to pay a little bit of attention to top lane, but just going to clear out the ward.
And we've started to see a lot of like Abyssal Scepter, or at least a Negatron Cloak part first in almost every mid lane matchup. We saw Rod of Ages from Zillion earlier, but Abyssal Scepter is such a good item right now. Yes, it's more expensive, but it now gives you even more. Like with the extra cooldown reduction inside of that item, it's like, well, the only thing it doesn't really give you is like mana regen. And even then, early on, it's not that important. You don't have to wave clear all that much. As long as you know how to trade properly, you should be fine. So we're going to see it very, very commonly.
Also, I love everything about the way Clyde just played bot lane. He threw the lantern behind him like, there's a Kindred here, and then threw the hook out like hoping maybe to get a flash or something bigger. Of course, Braum just leaps away, but I like the way he's thinking. He's already playing those mind games here on the bottom side of the map.
I always love those plays.
So perfect, though. Yeah,
not so perfect.
Looking for that Shurima shuffle there, a little Tokyo drift. Not going to get it in the end. Sebix just going to quick flash out of that one. But we talked about this. Flash, it's worth, it's not the miss. He got the superior cooldown in exchange there.
Yeah, Soz Pure Effect. We haven't heard too much from him recently, but has been around Challenger for a good few splits. He's made a name for himself, but has never really stood at the top of Challenger as like this guy is the best mid laner we've got. There was always somebody above him like Perks, Senkux, you know, that crop of players before that was like Power of Evil, and you know, just always somebody there that was stamping a bigger authority than him.
Your hesitation, you know the fight is coming. Willip taking a lot of damage, but Subjugate goes down. He smacks 2 into the wall. Impaler, he has the ultimate, he burns it down, but he's outside of it. Great cast coming in from Memento to grab that one. Heal drops for low priority, and they get the kill. That's exactly what they needed. Yeah,
a bit of a fortunate timed cast and an unfortunate timed Lamb's Respite there as he gets blasted out. Good cast out by Memento. I'm going to pin it down to is able to pick up the kill there on Impaler, and that's the drawback of fighting this early against this kind of setup where, you know, Willip lost so much health before he could subjugate because Kex wasn't Meganar, that it was so difficult for Fnatic Academy to take the trade that followed, and Impaler just ends up dying for it.
Yeah, not where you want to be. Kindred, obviously, so mobile, so much potential utility, but you knock her out of that Lamb's Respite, she just gets blown up in an instant. Memento now taking the jungle advantage, pushing this Vision up, and we can watch it one more time.
Yeah, we're going to see it again. Look at how much damage Willip took before the subjugate. There it came out. Double stun out from Kex.
Oh,
just at the same time.
You can see him start the dance of arrows. You can see him start to do the little backflip, trying to make it back to safety, but just not enough there. Game of inches there in the top lane.
Sebex did, however, use his teleport, or at least attempted to join that fight, but the fight was already over by the time he really would have finished that channel, so chose to cancel it. Hiku is going to recall an award. It's going to give Fnatic Academy a little bit of information here, but you can see Impaler constantly bouncing between waves, looking to try and get ganks off. Isn't opting for the farm setup for himself. So, of course, we are on 6-10, 6-8. Long gone now, so
yes.
Goodbye, Devourer.
Rest in peace. Although Blood Razor potentially stronger. In some cases, very, very late game when that 3% maximum health comes in handy. And Impaler, you know, suffering a little bit in this early game as Kindred's Dance of Arrow cooldown is much longer overall, but will balance out by the time he hits that level 9. And
even got it to Soz Purefect there on the blue.
Oh, quick hook, Zaitan. Moving forward, not even going to use the Flay. Cly knows better than to start that fight.
Yeah, he certainly does at that point. Hey, yeah, they even got the Zia the blue there. Very composed in the face of low priority, looking to take it themselves. So at this point, Fnatic Academy, they have an even game right now. 1-to-1 on kills. Farm is pretty even across all the lanes. Slight advantage for themselves in mid lane, but that's evened out by bottom lane. And honestly, I'm now again looking at Impaler on what is his decision going to be. Because he doesn't need to farm quite so much now that Devourer is not an issue. Doesn't need to stack that up, but he's been spotted constantly throughout this game.
Yeah, still maybe wants some of those damage items, some of those pseudo-tanky items as we move forward. So maybe over-prioritizing the aggression here. And we're going to have to see if that counts against him. Is Hiku starting to put a little more pressure down on the bottom side? It looks like the team wants to get Vision down. So Memento moves into that jungle.
And we're seeing Hiku going the very similar build that we just saw out of Misfortune, where it comes to this cooldown reduction active build. I saw Judge, the former TSM analyst and coach, tweeting about it as well. We're going to see it on the likes of Draven that I said I'd seen earlier, and apparently on Lucian as well. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Not the first time we've seen Ghostblade on Lucian. Pretty much was standard with the CDR boots for a long time in 2015. Really hammered home a lot of what his ultimate wanted to do as well. So, hook on that,
but they're not actually aware of the Gragas. They didn't quite spot him. Exarch instantly going to get burned down, or they are going to attempt to. True Shot Barrage throwing back, but it's not going to hit enough targets. Memento in trouble. Exarch knocked back under his own turret. Does get the Dark Passage in the end, but Nar is going to stun him. The wallop comes through. He gifts that one over to Lucian, and a double kill for Hiku. That was beautiful low priority.
And it's exactly what we were expecting at a low priority. The focus is on bottom lane. It is all about getting Hiku to carry and get him into this game, and the teleport came out from Kex, got him into the bottom lane, gets the ultimate through, and they're able to take the advantage. Bot tower falls now as well. There is a good advantage from the bottom lane, and this has all been about that duo setup from low priority. They were the first 2 picks in Champion Select, and they've started to really get a lead from them.
Yeah, 2-0-0 the score for that Lucian. Once again, as you said, building towards that Ghost Blade. Should have enough money to finish it up here after those 2 kills when he finally completes this back. And in the end, Fnatic Academy, we expected them to be one of the strongest teams, but maybe their 3rd place finish in the open qualifier is accurate. You can see now as we get into this replay how well played this was.
Yeah, at this point, they've already got the 3 versus 2. And again, the teleport is cancelled in this situation. Soz Purefect was the one that was using it to try and get there, but Exort can't keep himself alive in that situation. Double kill goes over to the Lucian.
Yep.
And Soz Purefect, he tries to teleport. Teleport Azir is not something we very often see because he likes to just sit in the mid lane and realistically control that mid lane. You can't really push him in, and he likes to push back out and hold that kind of ground. But the fact that you're taking teleport and then forced to cancel it in this situation really just hammers home that he could end up falling back in this matchup against Sevix as well, because now Sevix has teleport advantage coming out from this. So realistically, Sauce Perfect has had no gain from that summoner spell.
Not at all, and I think it was actually, I'm not sure if it was canceled out by Sevix in the end, but you saw Sevix getting aggressive in the mid lane while that play went down, and he made sure that if Azir was going to TP down to bottom, he was TPing down with low health, and it's not a trade that they wanted to make, and suddenly another tower is dropping in the favor of low priority. The game is starting to accelerate very quickly.
And look at this, Fnatic Academy decided to throw Whirlip down in the bottom lane as well. They're looking to perhaps fight here under the turret.
Oh, Mega Gnar not even going to come out. They've got everything they need. They take down that tower, but low priority setting their sights on the tier 2 already. Fnatic forced to back out here.
Yeah, they're going to have to back out. They've just lost their tier 2. Mid lane, Sevix managed to shove Sauce Perfect back as the Fnatic Academy team were taking the bottom lane turret, so it's still a win for low priority. And, you know, we were talking about how Fnatic Academy maybe had fixed some of their issues when it came to who was directing the flow of the game, who was controlling things. Whirlip, on the wrong side of the map, couldn't have defended on his own anyway, but Fnatic Academy caught sleeping there. They are going to even it up because low priority couldn't regroup for themselves. Very interesting that Sevix didn't choose to teleport to save that tower.
Oh, wow.
Was an option they could have gone for, and they did not look for it.
Yep, not prioritizing that out whatsoever. You saw Braum trying to get aggressive there, trying to throw down some CC. Not going to find, not going to find home. We'll have to back off. Memento now making sure to balance things out in the mid lane, but despite the back and forth blows, it's still 3 towers to 3, 3 kills to 3, 25.4 to 25.4. So a perfectly even game here, 15 minutes in, no dragons, no Rift Heralds going down, but you can see the game already very explosive.
Yeah, but the pacing of the game feels like it's more in low priority's favor. When you just take it stock of the last couple of minutes, Fnatic Academy with that second tower push did even up a lot of what was given away. So you'd be forgiven for thinking that LP were in the lead. Nobody's taken a dragon yet. It is Cloud Dragon. So nobody is really caring about
Everyone's
that right
happy
now.
to never contest that as long as it stays Cloud Dragon, I think is the thing that we're starting to notice here. And I mean, no surprises, right? The Cloud Drake is obviously a nice buff to have, but it is not a game changer at the end of the day.
It's not. It's not going to win you a team fight, realistically, unless somehow you get, like, a split-second setup that wouldn't have been possible without a slight burst of mobility.
Faster. Yeah. He eventually manages to hit the running you down Winter's Bite. Yeah, it's just such a fringe case, right? And you have to justify so much to get it. But Cly in trouble, starting to stack up those concussive blows. Beautiful ult onto Impaler. Azir's trying to get something back, but Zyton actually going to kill Cly in the end. Fnatic, they thought they had the setup there, but LP managed to get what they need.
Yeah, LP just turning it around once again, and Kekts jumping in. We're really seeing a lot of focus on the Gnar pick now and how it can manipulate and change team fights utilizing that ultimate. Seems very difficult to deal with as well right now in the current meta. Ooh, flash away.
So perfect. Now suddenly not looking quite so perfect in the mid lane as they have to force out yet another set of summoner spells here. And LP really taking control. These are unknown names. These are guys we don't see as much from, and they're taking on former LCS stars, former Challenger All-Stars, and now setting their sights on this Rift Herald.
Oh, look at who's coming across for that Rift Herald, though. From the top lane, Kekts is like, give me it, guys.
I think we've seen what happens.
The reason we're seeing Gnar having a lot of success here today is the matchups that he's been playing into. Gnar has always been very good into melee matchups. His ability to just control from mini Gnar was always his strong point. The difficulty was being able to teleport into team fights and be able to do as much as his opponent would. If he's bullied his opponent out to the point where they can never join a team fight, or if, like Trundle, they don't particularly want to join a team fight too early, it actually is still beneficial for the Gnar, because now Kekts can bully around Whirlip for the most part. Still want to see that 1 versus 1 happen.
Unless he's out of combat, in which case he will have an additional 15 movement speed because of the Cloud Drake finally going down. He just literally walked away from the caster desk and looked at the wall in shame, by the way, for me making that point. And I mean, not great, right? But Fnatic do get something back. Yep. Obviously not a good trade. We've proven it in the last game that you do not want to trade a dragon for that Rift Herald, but it is something.
You don't want to trade Cloud Drake. I probably would prefer Infernal or Mountain Drake. So this is the thing, that we haven't had a sample size of enough games so that teams have decided that for themselves either. All we've really heard about is scrims and that, and obviously there's a ranking on how people think it sits. I feel like Rift Herald is still a fairly low, if you'll excuse the pun, low priority on the actual objectives list when it comes to if you took everything. I'm just gonna, yeah, nobody saw that.
No one saw that. No one, I mean, you hear stories of Zhao Zhao using Ezreal ults to trim creeps. You hear stories of XR not quite doing the same thing. Kex. A comedy of errors, I think we can safely call this game. More a proof of Murphy's Law than League of Legends at this point, as the series of missed skill shots continue.
What we learned, though, is Willib was running away. So he wasn't running forward. He doesn't have 2 items completed yet himself. Has the Hydra, Titanic Hydra completed, looking for the Iceborne next. Maybe he'll want to trade after that? Maybe. Only if you can get melee range?
It's so hard to trade against that Rift Herald buff, right? 5% damage reduction over the course of a long tank fight is a lot of damage reduction.
That is a lot of damage reduction. Also the additional damage. Well, here we go.
Surprise, here comes Gnar. He does have Mega in just a second. I wonder if he's going to chase this. No one else is here. It's just the 1v1. Subjugate goes down. A lot of those resistance is taken away. World has to fight, though, because I don't think he can make his way out of this one. Flash going in as well. House going to get thrown. The prediction was just a little bit off. Memento. You saw him. He wanted to go over the wall. He resists the temptation, and Cly and the rest of Fnatic regain control of their jungle.
So what we found out, though, is Kex, as soon as he turns out into Mega Gnar, very similar to the last game, less effective in the 1v1
in chasing the people down, yes.
So you actually just want to slow the Mega Gnar build as much as you can.
Can you imagine how disgusting that champion would be if you could swap forms at will?
I don't want to think about that.
No one has to think about that.
Think about that.
He's balanced because it's hard to control. And Zayatan, of course, clearing out that final pink ward is low priority. Now set their sights on this bottom lane tower. They know they can duel the Trundle. Whirlib is back to full health. Memento, though, does not care. Ready to throw a cast down in an instant. And Exort going to land that one easily. Whirlib, though. Ooh, so much burn damage. A great cast! Once again, Memento, we asked what he would do, and he is making plays.
Making massive plays in these skirmishes. I mean, we looked at his champion selection, and we said maybe there was a Nidalee that was available. Graves was banned away. What was he going to go for? Goes for this tank, for this utility play. The push is onto the tower now. Looks like Fnatic Academy want to try and fight here, but...
Could be, Victor over the wall. They're going in the flash forward. Instant burn down. So perfect. Not looking comfortable at all. Impaler throws down the Lamb's respite, but that's all it's going to be is a brief break, because now the Lucians on a rampage and low priority are going to pick up their 5th tower of the game.
Whew, they don't have the minion waves, they're having to juggle it, which means if Fnatic Academy had been there, they could have maybe looked for something, but they aren't. They're all running to the hills, licking their wounds, not looking at their wounds. That's not really productive at that point. But it's low priority, getting another tower, backing themselves away, and man, they are in such a commanding position after what was such an even game for so long. Again, it's Rift Herald has blown the game apart.
We're seeing how powerful this buff can be, but once you're able to confidently win those 1v1s in the side lane, the pressure dynamic of the map shifts completely. Suddenly you have absolute control over little things. And I mean, we're seeing it to the extreme here, right? When Gnar can win these 1v1 duels against anyone at any time, the whole map just becomes off limits for Fnatic. They have to play around the Gnar.
And we've seen it in 2 different ways, because in our previous game, it was they would win the 1v1 with the Gnar and then teleport into a fight and completely dominate the fight. In this game, low priority have won the 1v1 and then brought the team down alongside the Gnar and looked to fight after it. Looked for the skirmish, looked to try and push down turrets. So we'll see if they continue to do it that way. But we've seen 2 different ways that this Rift Herald buff has been utilized, and I'm wondering which one is going to become the more consistent that we'll see as the 6.10 meta evolves.
It'll be interesting to see, of course, once again, the sample size relatively small overall. However, start to look forward, we can see Rift Herald, maybe the center of attention in the early game, but now LP gearing up to take down this Baron. As this is it. We saw this exact same play last game, just from the blue side, is that Gnar starts to split push, we bait out the Baron, and it's the same story we know from 6-8, from pretty much as long as split pushing has ever been a thing, right? Splitting up that pressure. But now the difference is that Gnar, absolutely unstoppable, has the power to duel anyone.
Yeah, has the power. It is an Ocean Drake that is next, for the record. But we've only had 1 Cloud Drake.
We've only had Ocean and Cloud, though. I don't know what the odds are, but I want someone to figure this out. Is this a statistical anomaly? Is this like, are we special for never seeing an Infernal Drake, or is this just like, I mean, it's 3 games, right? Small sample size, but I feel that it's odd.
It feels odd just because, so at first I was like, is this exactly the same again? Or is it like the timing on the game in this? Like, because it certainly feels weird to only have
It's
them.
a countdown.
I was starting to be like, is this actually correct?
All right, you ready for the cringe? First it was
different order.
Cloud, ocean. Then it was cloud, ocean, and now it's cloud,
what
ocean.
Are we getting? That's an Earth. It was a mountain. I saw the mountain.
Go.
I think.
Pull it up. Oh, it's an Earth Drake!
Yes!
These are the things you get excited about. Yes, there are people killing each other. Yes, this is an insanely action-packed game, and Xork may hit the Israel ult. Is going to land it
wow,
on the creep wave.
Not a lot of damage to Kex.
No, but it killed the creeps, and that's what matters.
But after crossing through it all, Kex is just like, oh, I thought that would do more damage.
Nope.
All of that reduced damage.
Just a little tickle. Down to 20, 40%? I don't remember what the minimum is on True Shot Barrage, but it gets pretty low. Of course, moving forward in this game, Gnar continues to just own this jungle. He lives here now, if you were curious. And Trundle, not happy with that, is going to kind of just be resigned to clearing out these waves whenever they reach him, and really, against everything WarLib is about, playing safe and waiting patiently.
Yes, that is very true. Well, that was always one of the drawbacks of WarLib as a player, really, was when he's ahead, he will just win you a game by split pushing for the entire game. But when he's behind, unless he's on an engage-heavy champion, we started to see the Hecarim come from him and do some work in games where he was able to find flanks and find the right team fights. This game, he's on a Trundle. Like, that's not really going to flank and win a team fight for you all that well unless you somehow get a magical pillar that
or get really far ahead like we saw, right?
Yeah.
And it's too late. It's too late to get far ahead. We're not at the point in the time in the game where you can really take the time to farm up, and Gnar isn't going to give you that chance even if you could. And Fnatic, of course, really just playing back. They have the tools to do so. They've got good wave clear with the Azir and the Ezreal. But, I mean, at this point, LP just continuing to own their lead, continuing to take vision control, and if they can get this Baron, it's going to make things so easy. But WarLib may be first on the list of things to burn down here.
Whew, man, that is just a lot of damage. And, you know, you might be looking at this, sat at home thinking, well, it's Trundle against tanks. It's going to be good, right? Well, Trundle against 3 tanks does kind of struggle. You can only subjugate one of them. Does have some sense of benefit now that QSS doesn't get rid of anything other than crowd control, so there is perhaps a slight benefit there, but it's still not enough to deal with a Gnar that's already ahead, a Gragas that is getting pretty tanky himself, and a Braum. So WarLib's got his work cut out for him.
Definitely does, and the work is cut out for Fnatic overall as a team because they are out of blue trinkets, and Baron is still being pressured here by low priority. Yeah.
Oddly tied to the main Fnatic roster.
Oh, Impaler, that is not what you want. That Victor damage is insane. Will it last long enough? They're going to knock him up. Lamb's Respite goes through, but he messes up the Q. He doesn't make it to safety. So perfect. One mistake nets the double kill for low priority. Yeah,
Soz Perfect just gets caught out in that situation and is not able to stay alive despite Impaler's ultimate. And, you know, this game, again, it's kind of the thing where Fnatic Academy haven't been able to make any kind of decisions because of just how far ahead Kex has really punished WarLib, and the rest of the team can't do enough. Ezreal ult is going to get caught there. Playing catch is Zaitan. And it gets taken down by low priority. They are looking pretty much as expected. That first seed came out of the open qualifier, looking to be the better seeded team here, the stronger team than Fnatic Academy. They've put in a good showing.
Yeah, so far so good for them. A 6K gold lead against Fnatic's junior roster. 6 additional kills, and we're going to watch this one more time. Beautiful execution. Oh,
so much damage down onto Impaler. Then Soz Perfect couldn't quite get the rest of the distance on that and gets taken down. Low priority will peel back for the Baron. I mean, again, Fnatic Academy have some sense of scaling. When you look at the Azir, you've got the Ezreal. They're looking for somewhat of a later game with that, but it's not going to be enough because there's a Victor on the other side that is scaling. Kex still has the advantage in the 1 versus 1, and Memento is just disrupting teamfights so much. It's difficult for Fnatic Academy
and that's
to
the
fight.
thing. It's like we're so eager to talk about comps and about scaling and looking for a way out for Fnatic, but really when it comes down to it, low priority are simply executing better.
Yeah.
And it's not about the composition they picked, it's about the fights that they're choosing and the way that Fnatic has been on the back foot once again since Rift Herald. I think we talked about it as a defining moment last game, and it gives you the power to break open the game, and it seems like all of these teams in the Challenger Qualifier that we've seen so far, once you give them that lead, they have no hesitation to just keep pushing their advantage.
I mean, at this point, Kex has Rift Herald and Baron, and has Rift Herald for a third longer of the cooldown. He's still got, fast maths,
little 6 minutes,
like
six and a
just
half.
under 7 minutes
Yeah.
of that buff still available. So that's going to stay active until the next Baron. Like,
Pressure's going to continue. I mean, it feels overwhelming to play against. And low priority, I mean, despite the fact that this is a new patch, almost feel like they're not even strangers to how good this buff is. They're using it so well.
Well, what we can keep in mind is that the open qualifiers were played on 6.9, and the changes from 6.9 to 6.10 weren't the biggest. There were a couple of different balance changes, a couple of tweaks here and there. So low priority have been playing competitive matches on this. Same with Fnatic Academy. They obviously were playing in the same qualifier, but looking better in competitive matches since the 6.9 changes anyway. So certainly they seem to have their heads screwed on when it comes to what they're looking at playing and how they're playing it out.
Yeah, and this is a big moment for them too, because this is where we've seen a lot of less experienced teams falter, and that breaking the base, getting that first inhibitor can be so crucial, and they need to figure out how to do that, because right now, they're not committed to pushing a lane just yet. They haven't found a way to break it open. They're just clearing out the jungle and getting more vision.
But you can see that low priority are now splitting up into the 3-lane setup. They've got the teleports. Kex does not have his available, so that is something they have to be careful of. And he is fairly far away on the bottom side of the map. But as we crest the 30-minute mark, they're going to push up to the towers with that Baron buff and look to push it down. Difficulty is until Lucian can push up safely. It's not really damage that's going to get done yet.
Moving forward, Kex, as scary as ever, Baron buff. Moving forward with additional, so many buffs at his disposal at this stage of the game. And of course, the minion's not taking any damage really from that Ezreal ultimate. Gragas and the rest of the team shifting their focus to top side, but Gnar continues to pressure bot. There goes HeQ over the wall. So Perp doing a lot of damage back though. He has to flash back to the safety of the team. Suddenly Cly is knocked back to safety, but the culling gonna take him down. Domination coming in from HeQ as low priority now move in to take this inhibitor. Fnatic, they're alive and well. They can look to re-engage the fight, but anything can change this, and it's going to be the Azir turret to protect that tower.
Just slow it down, protect the inhibitor, force them to come through another turret. But look on the bottom side, Nara's still doing work down there. Willib is containing him for now, but it's a matter of time before low priority push in.
Oh, no Baron buff, but a lot of damage. Impaler getting locked down by the gravity field, not going to find the stun. They get the inhibitor, they're just going to walk away. Low priority tempering their aggression. They don't want to push for anything else.
Willib even left that bottom side, so it means Kex got half of the turret damage down on that health bar. Impaler wants to look and try and chase, but maybe he's looking just to get in position for that Earth Dragon. Honestly, at this point, that Earth Drake giving them the additional damage when it comes to objectives is, I mean, it's not going to make or break the game for low priority, but it's certainly going to help them. They're going to be happy to have it. Push faster,
if we get to the 45-50 minute mark, when that damage to towers really comes in handy, you know, it could make a pretty big difference.
I mean,
but you're right.
It's still nice.
It's still nice to have, but it's not a game changer.
Yeah.
Once again, we're looking for the Infernal Drakes, and we haven't found them. So really all this means is that low priority, who are already winning, it's going to make their lives easier.
Right, and that's the key point I want people to take away from this. The reason it's not a game changer is because of how far ahead low priority are at. If this is an even game, an Earth Drake, a Mountain Drake can make a massive difference, because it then gives you the ability to you know, push faster, take objectives faster. Nice thing to note, Mountain Drake is actually the most difficult one to take. You deal a little bit less damage down to it. It just is slower. You compare this to how fast the Cloud Drake side.
It's 32 minutes, and that just took like 30 seconds to kill a dragon,
exactly.
right? That usually takes like 8 late game. We saw that Cloud Drake drop to Impaler at level 8, like solo killing it with just a single jungle item. So clearly like a big difference in here and what these dragons are going to require to take. And, you know, low priority far enough ahead that they don't have to worry about it. And
Memento.
Huge pick here for Fnatic. He's going to try to displace them. He's dashing back to safety, but so perfect over the wall. A beautiful flash. They're trying to re-engage. Does Fnatic bite off more than they can chew? Pushing forward. CC going down. Ezreal ult hitting multiple members. Low priority, though. They're slowing members down. The boomerang coming back. Gnar jumping back to the team. Cly, great pick. Cly instantly popped Lamb's Respite, not fast enough, and slow burn here from Fnatic as Cly finally drops.
I'm not sure why Cly really re-engaged that, because you could see the rest of Fnatic Academy were backing off, because that's not where you want to fight Nazir. In that small little choke point, they want to drag him into the open, get themselves spread out, and then Cly says, hey guys, I've got this hook, and dies for it because he moves straight into the Azir damage. Oh, this could be it for Fnatic Academy.
Oh my gosh, they're moving forward. Azir's doing some decent damage, but is it going to be enough? The flash forward from the Gnar. The inhibitor is finally going to drop the second of the game. They're looking for the re-engage. So many low members. Gnar goes back, knocks Impaler into the wall. Whirlib left alone on the front lines, but he's going to subjugate. He's going to run forward. Mini Gnar coming out, throwing the boomerang, slowing up. Cly has flash, could look for the hook. They're still hungry for blood. They're still moving forward. The gravity field maybe saying no. Hiku hoping to turn this one around. Cly burning the locket. Trying to keep Whirlib safe, but it's not going to be enough. The Ezreal, oh, good block. Zayton catches it, stops it from the team, and LP are backing off safe.
Yeah, that was mostly to stop the recalls and maybe try and look for the pick if Zaytan was not ready on that the Unbreakable Shield. Fnatic Academy get themselves a little bit of a rest period now, have been able to put the pause button on until this next Baron. That is the next key factor of this game. You can see though Impaler is underleveled compared to Memento, has really struggled to get himself into the game, even though he's got 3 items now with the Hurricane and the Maw of Malmortius. Just has not had the same impact that he had in the early game, and that was what we were wondering, was how would Impaler's impact be the later this game goes. And honestly, with Whirlib behind, Fnatic Academy have really struggled to make any kind of decisions when it comes to when and where they should fight. And it seems like there's dissenting voices, like Cly looking for a hook in a period where Fnatic Academy are trying to disengage.
And not quite on the same page, you're right. And that, I mean, maybe not dissenting voices, maybe just not clear leadership on the team so far, right? And it's just everyone on a different page, but you can see low priority clearly know what they want to be doing. They're moving for their second Baron. They've set up everything that they need to do to make this happen, but Fnatic are here this time. They are ready. Gnar is in the bottom lane, split pushing. They're not going to get it. Gragas is going to take that one up. TP coming in, looking for the ultimate. Not going to find a single target. Whirlib there. He's knocked into the wall, but so perfect. Too busy fighting the Gragas to dish out the damage. Whirlib nearly unkillable, but
Hiku's
not quite
dead.
enough. Hiku finally dropping, moving forward. Kex low. Fnatic, is this the turnaround? They managed to grab a couple kills, but their base is falling, and low priority finally lose a fight.
It's the one for Baron trade. It's still in favor of low priority. They even got one of the Nexus turrets during that, I believe, as there was a big minion wave. Nearly got the second, so it's still all coming up low priority, but Fnatic Academy finally get themselves a bit of a win on the board when it comes to the fight. I don't think it's going to be enough to hold this game. They're going to overreach in the mid lane.
They may go too far. Memento hungry for more blood, but Fnatic are still 4 members strong. Victor finally going to get there. Braum getting there, but a lot of damage already down to the Gnar and the Gragas. Whirlib, 2 stacks. No, 1 stack. Not going to be able to build up those concussive blows. And Exorc, the Victor damage is real, but he's still going to be able to walk to safely. So perfect. Not enough time to heal, clearing this out, and there is so much pressure on Fnatic. But once again, maybe a few seconds break, and it could be all that they need to defend their base.
Again, though, that Ezreal isn't going to be enough through that Baron buff. It does some damage to the ranged minions, but the melee ones just stand there, and it means that low priority are going to push through the final inhibitor turret of the game. Top inhibitor has respawned, so it's not quite 3 inhibs down for low priority yet. They're going to recall back away. Elder Drake is not up for 1:30.
Could be
just backing away for now.
2 dragons below priority, 1 over to Fnatic. Not going to be a huge turning point in terms of doubling up the buffs that they do have, but we'll give them that true damage burn over time, which could be the decider in these late game team fights. You can see the items coming in. Most teams are geared up. Gragas, interestingly enough, with the Righteous Glory, and Lucian rounding out his build with the IE Rapid Fire. Much more standard, but the foundation's still in that cooldown reduction.
Yes, yeah, cooldown reduction into the armor reduction as well. So keep in mind, Fnatic have a Cloud Drake to their name. On the side of low priority, it is a Mountain Drake and an Ocean Drake. So honestly, the more favorable Drakes on the side of low priority right now. They're going to be able to heal up in between every little skirmish as well. So they're going to be just healthier in these circumstances where the pressure is relentless. And now they look towards that top inhibitor. They still got bottom lane pushing in. It's going to take a minute or so, but it'll push in their favor very shortly.
If Fnatic win this fight, they can take the Elder Dragon. But if LP win, they will take the game. The pressure is on, as you've said. Memento hovering around, looking for the cast. Exorc, Impaler, so perfect. The team just trying to keep this inhibitor safe. And Werlib consistently throwing down those pillars, threatening engage at any moment. And Kex trying to save up that Gnar rage, trying to make sure he doesn't accidentally go Mega before the fight starts.
It's always embarrassing. It's like, oops, too early. It happens to every player,
yeah, it happens to everybody. Yes, vaguely inappropriate Gnar jokes. But Ezreal once again used, not doing too much damage, but is going to weaken down the waves, make it a bit easier to clear out. EQ, hook goes on to Memento. Is that an engage opportunity? Doesn't look like it. Backing off, slow.
There's the Mega
Siege.
though.
This could be opportunity to re-engage. Lucian moving forward. They know this is their time to go in. Can they turn the fight? So perfect, safe in the backline. Impaler as well. Exarch, the damage dealers are safe. And the front line moving forward for Fnatic as well. Zaitan suddenly caught out. He's all alone. He's going to drop. Fnatic get one. That's their first advantage, but they're going to lose their bottom inhibitor. Is it going to drop?
Yeah.
Ugh, looks like it.
Every time Fnatic even get one kill in these fights, they are losing critical objectives at the same time. And at this point, low priority, they've decided they want themselves the Elder Drake. They are going across it. It's going to take a while to kill right now. Can Fnatic Academy do anything about this? Impaler and Cly heading over to the Elder Dragon.
This could be the last thing that they need to end the game. Cly maybe looking for the steal. Can Fnatic get it? 3K over the wall. He's gonna get it! Impaler! What a god! EQ looks for the re-engage, but Impaler got the dragon, and that may be all they need to win the fight. They're on the way. They're hungry for blood. Fnatic smell an advantage. They're gonna take it. They find another kill. The shutdown moves forward. Werlib has to back off, but the team doesn't have to walk away empty-handed. Impaler steals the Elder Dragon.
This feels like the reverse of Game 1, the last two times these two teams met, where Fnatic Academy were in the lead, and it would be low priority that would get themselves back into the game. It's at this point Fnatic Academy are just barely holding on with their fingertips on this game. Now they've had to back themselves away and are holding on this game for now. I mean, it's still so tense for them. Low priority still have a massive advantage right now, but that Elder Drake should be enough for Fnatic to pause until the next Baron. It's 150 until it spawns.
And we're at that point where 40 minutes in, one team fight can decide a game. And we're going to watch this one more time. Just keep your eyes on Impaler. The only man you need to, boom, flash, steal, got it.
And where was Memento? Memento was in there, didn't actually smite. Whereas the Ezreal ultimate plus the smite coming down was enough. It was enough time for Fnatic Academy to be able to secure the dragon in that situation. I mean, is this game on right now for Fnatic Academy? They've got the Azir, they've got
pushing.
the Ezreal.
Look at this, and it's one
With
fight.
40 minutes in.
If they beat LP here, they will win the game.
They're 40 minutes in, and they have Azir and Ezreal and the Elder Drake. This game could have just flipped right on its head. It looked like Fnatic Academy were completely out of this.
And one good ultimate from Impaler, keeping that backline alive for just 2 or 3 seconds more in a crucial team fight could be the deciding factor. It's coming down to single cooldowns. If someone makes a mistake, if someone misses an ultimate, this game will end in the favor of the opposing team. And that is the kind of pressure that has to be insane for both these lineups. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Werlib, if you're Impaler, if you're Cly, if you've experienced that pressure.
They have to defend.
This could be it, though.
One last fight is going to be the decider on this. The advantage Kex had has kind of gone away at this point. It doesn't matter. Hook onto EQ.
They know this is their last chance to go in, but there's only one member, and Cly gets dropped instantly. They're looking for an ult. Too many ults have missed, though. So perfect getting dropped. LP are dominating the fight. Impaler could be next to fall. He does not have the Lamb's Respite available. Exorc doing so much damage, but LP backing away without dropping a member and grabbing the third inhibitor.
50 seconds on Sod's PureFX death timer, and it's only Exorc that is alive as a carry. Here is where the Ocean Drake is going to kick in, because this is low priority. Regenning, here comes the teleport out of
Teleport
Sebex.
in, they're moving forward, they're looking for the flank. Gnar dishing out a lot of damage, but they might not even need to play PvP. They can just look to PvE the game, but they're not going to go there. Sebex, boom, baby! That's the kill you want. Werlib gonna get dropped just as quick. Doesn't Doesn't matter how tanky you are, 5 members gonna burn you right down. Impaler, last hope for the team, but not nearly enough, as Low Priority make a commanding statement in their first game in the Challenger Scene qualifier.
Oh, it was a lot closer than it should have been, looking at how that game started for Low Priority, but man,
yeah, take a breath.
that steal from Impaler nearly turned the game all the way around for him.
I'm absolutely stunned. I mean, beautiful play from Low Priority. And Fnatic Academy showing great moves to come back in the game, but at the end of the day, Low Priority knew when they had an advantage, and they took it. They moved forward, and they absolutely crushed that game.
Yeah, they crushed it. And, you know, we said this could be one of the marquee matchups for the group stage. Of course, we are in a group stage, so there are a lot more best of ones to go. That's neither team are out right now. Fnatic Academy still will return 4 games tomorrow, but man, that was a good performance out of Low Priority. Especially the way that they moved down to the bottom lane very early on. It was like a 5-man bot lane party. They bring everybody down, and we knew it was going to happen. It's Low Priority. That's what they've done in the open qualifier games.
I mean, they made it happen once again. Maybe Fnatic didn't do the research there, or maybe Low Priority just simply executed better. But either way, they played to their win conditions. Once again, Rift Herald a huge component of that. But at the end of the day, outplaying them in individual fights, Memento. My God, the biggest question mark in this game, hitting those casks in the early to mid game time and time again, disrupting those team fights, knocking people back into the team, knocking them out of the Lamb's respite, getting, you know, these perfect play moments that gave his team pretty significant leads.
Yeah, and Sebix made the game fairly difficult for Azir as well on the other side. It just, SozPFA couldn't really get himself into the game a whole lot. The Victor made it difficult, but that was a really enjoyable game.
Yeah,
that could have gone either way,
absolutely exciting. Very great way to get through the middle of the day. But of course, coming up, it's going to Group B, so that's Group B, but that's going to do it for me and Stress, dang it. But Pulse and Vedius will be on after the break to bring you the last 3 games of the game.
The day. Don't go anywhere, guys. Pulse and Vedius are coming right up.
Rip.